So today I wanted to give 5 reasons why the Earth is not a globe geographically. So I'm going to point out 5 different locations, and these locations are on or border or near to the equator. And the first one is going to be Congo. Now, Congo is said to be at 4 degrees south, 21 degrees east, and has an average elevation of about 1,700 feet. You have Uganda with an average elevation of about 5,000 feet. Its highest point, I believe, is about 3,609 feet, of course, which is probably a peak. And it is at 10 degrees north, 32 degrees east. Then we have Kenya with an average elevation of 762 meters above sea level. And it sits at 0 degrees south, 37 degrees east. We also have Gabon or Gabon, which is Gabon, and it sits at 0 degrees south, 11 degrees east. And it is about 377 meters above sea level, with its highest peak being 1,070 meters. And then for the 5th one, we have Brazil, and it sits at an average of 320 meters above sea level. And of course, it is known to have Great Plains, and it's at 14 degrees south, 51 degrees west. Great Plains average altitude of 650 feet. So out of all the 5 of these locations that sit near, on, or border to the equator, you will see that none of them equal at their highest elevation over 5 miles. Now, I added on a bonus, which is China. And China, of course, is not even on the equator. And the equator allegedly has a bulge, which causes the sphere to not actually be spherical. Allegedly, it's supposed to be oblate. So they tell you that it is imperceivable, meaning that you can't sense it. It's so hard for you to be able to perceive it. But you have to keep in mind that we have what we call a mean sea level. And of course, sea level is only a couple of inches off from all around the globe. So of course, there are several sea levels depending on your location. It deals with tides and stuff like that make sea level rise and decline. But overall, it's only inches worth of differentiation throughout the world. So that itself can be looked at as being minute. And that is what you would call imperceivable, because it's not such of a big deal. Although they tell you that the bulge is imperceivable, which is incorrect, because you will definitely perceive land at 13 miles high. So when you say a bulge, you have to think in the basis of geography as well. So if there is a bulge of 13 miles around the equator, that means that the land itself that sits on, around, or border the equator as well should be no less than 13 miles high in elevation. Above sea level. So it should be 13 miles and above everywhere within the area of the equator. And again, none of these locations, Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Gabon, or Brazil, are over 5 miles at their highest elevation. And again, China, of course, has the highest mountain, which is Mount Everest, at 8,848 meters. And again, that's not on the equator. It is actually at 35 degrees north, 104 degrees east. Although all locations on, around, or bordering the equator should be the highest land on the earth, based off of a 13-mile bulge, which in turn should equal a 13-mile land elevation above sea level. So we do not see that. That means that the earth is not a globe geographically. They tell you that it's imperceivable, maybe because as they take those fake pictures, CGI photos and stuff like that, of course, they always make sure to sculpt the sphere perfectly circular, even though they tell you it's oblate. And that's why maybe you can't notice the bulge in their fake photos, but you would definitely notice, again, an alleged bulge which in turn geographically would have to mean an increase of elevation of 13 miles.